Hello, and welcome to our first edition of Not So Great Deck Monday, a series dedicated to playing Pokemon decks that may or may not be competitively viable. I am your host on this wonderful journey, Billy. So, today we're going to look at a deck in the standard format that I find particularly interesting, and that is Raichu Ampharos. Once I read what Ampharos' ability was, which I'll get to in a bit, I knew that I had to build a deck with it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would you play this deck with Garbodor in the format? And you're probably right. This is probably a terrible idea, but that's what we do here on Not So Great Deck Monday. Take terrible ideas and run with it. So, let's begin with a look at some of the key cards in this deck. Let's first talk about the main attacking Pokemon, Raichu. For 2 colorless energy, we have Circle Circuit. This attack does 20 damage times the number of Pokemon on our bench. So with a full bench of 5 Pokemon, we can hit 100 damage fairly easily. Raichu also has a second attack that we'll probably never use, but it also does 100 damage, but it would take 3 turns for us to get enough energy to use it. Raichu also has no retreat cost, which is pretty fantastic. The next Pokemon we'll take a look at is Lugia EX. All of Lugia's attacks take colorless energy, which makes him a great addition to the deck. Lugia's first attack is Arrow Ball, and it does 20 damage times the number of energy attached to both active Pokemon. This is really great to get some quick damage early game, or even take KOs later in the game. Lugia's second attack is even more devastating. For 4 colorless energy, we have Deep Hurricane. If there's a stadium card in play, discard it. If you do this, this attack does 80 more damage. So 70 plus 80 is 150. And you might think, Billy, that's not enough to knock out most EXs. And I would say, you sir, or madam, are correct. But, with Ampharos' ability, it'll all make sense. So now let's take a look at the big, bad, cheap Ampharos. Whatever Ampharos is. Anyways, in this deck, I highly doubt we will be attacking with Ampharos, but that doesn't mean that he won't be doing some serious damage. With its Shocking Light ability, Ampharos gets to place 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon EX every single turn. This can lead to some really cool combos with the other attackers in this deck. Because fighting Fear Belt gives your opponent's Pokemon 40 more HP, taking KOs is a bit difficult. And like I was previously saying, Lugia's Deep Hurricane can do 150 damage if you discard a Stadium. So if you add 3 damage counters with Shocking Light, you can KO Pokemon EX with 180 HP. If you have 2 Ampharos in play, you can take down Pokemon with 210 HP. With 3 Ampharos, however unlikely that is, you can hit 240 HP, KOing anything that's not a Wailord EX. Because fighting Fear Belt gives your opponent's Pokemon 40 more HP, and there is no Muscle Band for Raichu to do extra damage, taking 2 hit KOs on Pokemon EX with 210 or 220 HP becomes difficult. So, Ampharos' ability lets you deal that extra tiny bit of extra damage you need to take those 2 prizes. We're also playing 1 Stardust Jirachi, just in case we ever need to stall for a turn to get more Pokemon evolved. So really quick, we'll go over our lineup. We play a full 4-4 line of Raichu, a 4-3-4 of Ampharos, 1 Jirachi, 1 Shaman EX for its setup ability, which allows us to draw until we have 6 cards, and 1 Lugia EX. The energy line is also very basic. We play 4 double colorless energy, which can be used to power up Raichu and Lugia, and 4 basic lightning, which aren't all that useful. I might consider adding Raichu Break to the deck at a later time, so the lightning energy will become more beneficial, but that's something I'll have to consider at a later time. Next, we'll quickly go over some of the trainers of the deck. Level Ball lets you search for your deck for Pokemon with 90 HP or less, which is almost all the Pokemon except for Lugia, Shaman, and Ampharos. We also have Ultra Ball, which lets us search for any Pokemon after discarding 2 cards from our hand. Another card that's vital for getting our Pokemon out of the deck in a speedy fashion is Evo Soda. This card lets you search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves from one of your Pokemon in play. So, we can grab Raichu, Flaffy, or Ampharos if we have Pikachu, Mareep, or Flaffy on the bench. We also play 3 copies of Rare Candy to evolve Mareep to Ampharos. Because we are so reliant on double colorless energy to power up our attackers, I play 1 copy of the card Special Charge. This card lets you shuffle 2 special energies in our discard pile back into your deck. This list also plays 1 copy of Super Rod, so we can shuffle back up to 3 Pokemon or basic energy back into our deck. This becomes very important later in the game once Raichu start getting knocked out. We also play 2 copies of Floatstone to give Ampharos or Lugia free retreat. Lastly, we play 4 copies of VA Seeker, which lets us put 1 supporter from our discard pile back into our hand. We play 3 Professor Sycamore, which discards our entire hand and draws 7 new cards. We also play 2 N, which shuffles our hands into our deck, and then we draw cards equal to the number of prize cards remaining. Since we play so many Pokemon and evolutions, we can't always afford to play Professor Sycamore. There's also 1 Lysander, which allows us to switch one of our opponent's bench Pokemon with the active Pokemon, giving us a way to take 2 free prizes or stall for a turn. We also play 1 copy of Giovanni's Scheme, which has 2 effects. We can either deal 20 more damage with our attacks, or we can draw until we have 5 cards. And last but not least, we have the MVP of the deck, Teammates, which can only be played if your opponent took a knockout the turn before. And what Teammates does, it lets you search your deck for 2 cards, any 2 cards, and put them into your hand. You then shuffle your deck afterwards. The last card we'll talk about is our Stadiums, Rough Seas. This allows us to heal 30 damage from each of our electric or water Pokemon every turn. In this deck, it's not that useful since Raichu only has 90 HP, but can be useful for stalling with Ampharos. I also consider playing Skyfield to do more damage with Raichu. However, that would allow your opponent to discard damage Pokemon if they ever change the Stadium cards. So that's the end of the introduction. Let's get into the action. So we have our first game here. We're just waiting for our opponent to show up. I should really move that little logo sticker. It's kind of in the way. Yep, can't see how many cards left in my deck. Okay, I'll move that for the next video. So we saw my opponent's playing an all-water deck. I don't know if that's Greninja without Talonflame, or it could be maybe something with Octillery in it. Straight water deck. My bet's on Greninja though, but we'll see. So I lost a coin flip. I guess this is the one time that Tails fails. And it's my opponent's turn. Let's see what we can draw here. Absolutely nothing. Okay. At least my opponent doesn't get to see what we're playing quite yet. So I'll wait for my opponent to put down the basic Pokemon. And we'll shuffle our hand back into our deck. Alright, Pikachu, Mareep. Not the most powerful of opening hands, but we'll take it. Let's see my opponent draw a card for my mulligan and drop in a new Pokemon on the bench. And so it does appear to be an all-water deck. They have a Glaceon, Manaphy, Remoraid on the bench, Dive Balls, so yeah. And this appears to be some sort of water toolbox deck without Toad. Maybe they play Regice. So this can kind of be problematic because Glaceon EX has that Crystal Ray attack, and it's kind of the opposite of Jolteon's, where Jolteon stops basic Pokemon from attacking it, and Glaceon stops evolved Pokemon. So my Raichu can attack, my Ampharoses, even though they're not going to attack, can attack, things like that. But we do play 1 Lugia, so maybe that can get us out of this jam. Here we'll just drop another Pikachu. Think about dropping the Floatstone, but I don't want that Mareep to be knocked out. We'll just end our turn. So let's see what I'm putting. They Hex Maniac this first turn. Hex Maniac doesn't really affect us too much until we get Ampharos out into play. Let's see, evolve into Octillery with that Abyssal Hand, letting my opponent draw until they have 5 cards in their hand. Trainer's Mail. See a Dive Ball. See if they can get out another Pokemon here. Let's see what it is. A Glalie EX. That's something I haven't really seen too much of. Not even sure what it does. I know it has a Mega. So if it does 50 plus another 50, if we have the same number of cards in our hand, I believe. And they do play a Regice. Okay. So my opponent's deck seems to be used to lock your opponent out of attacking. Regice can stop EXs from attacking. Glaceon can stop evolved Pokemon from attacking. And Articuno is just pretty good in general. So here we have 2 Rare Candy in our hand. It's kind of unfortunate they get to discard both of them, but we gotta draw some more cards. Wow, this is a pretty bad hand here. Looks like I'm just gonna attach and nuzzle. Hopefully get a heads. Alright. Opponent's Pokemon's not paralyzed, so I mean he can't retreat and he can't attack next turn. So what will my opponent do? See, I'm Glalie Spirit Link going onto that Glalie there. And an N. Alright, thank you, opponent. So that Articuno can be kind of problematic. It's Tri-Edge attack. If it knocks out one of my Pokemon, he'll be able to take an extra prize. So if he knocks out this Pikachu, or a Raichu, or an Ampharos, whatever it may be, he would take 2 prizes, as if they were EXs. And yeah, he keeps on powering up that Articuno. We're going to have to deal with that eventually. One problem this deck has is attacking non-EXs, because I can't place damage on it with Ampharos. So hitting that 120 is very difficult, actually. And so I would have to play that Giovanni Scheme that's already in the discard, just to be able to Circle Circuit for 120 and knock it out. I'm kind of glad they put an Energy Pouch on it and not a Fighting Fury Belt, because that'd be even worse. So my opponent can't attack, so I'm just going to Mega Evolve. And will that be the end of the turn? Yes, it's the end of their turn. Alright, so we got a Raichu, can evolve the active. Attaching the lightning to the active. Saving our double colorless. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. Yeah, I thought there was an N in the discard. I should attach the double colors to Pikachu. Well, looks like we're gonna have to go with the good old Sycamore. Yeah. I can Ultra Ball that double colors away, along with the Lysander, and then Special Charge to get that double colors back. So it's not too big of an issue, but I would rather have attached that double colors to the bench Pikachu. We'll see another Merit coming down. Special Charge, putting that 1 double colorless back into my deck, and then a Sycamore drawing 7 new cards. Wow, 3 double colorless. What a hand. Well, here we'll be able to Circle Circuit for 80 damage. But with Rough Seas out, my opponent will be able to heal 30 of that damage back. So what does my opponent do here? Okay, we see an attachment to the active Pokemon. Are we going to see a retreat to the Articuno? Abyssal Hand, drawing him 3 cards. We see a Rough Seas. Healing 3rd damage off that Glaceon. With Manaphy, he has Free Retreat, so he has the option to attack with Articuno if he likes. Yeah, that's what we're going to see here. Tri-Edge, I believe it does 20 damage, and you flip 3 coins. For each head, it does 40. So, could be wrong about that, but my opponent, I believe, will need 2 heads to knock out this Raichu. We see a Tails, Tails, Tails. Alright, only 20 damage. So you actually get kind of lucky there. As with any flip effect, you know, you gotta get a little bit lucky. So here we'll see double Raichu coming down, Evil Soda, grabbing that Ampharos out of the deck, evolving that Flaffy with the Floatstone. Another Raichu coming down. See a level ball here. Gonna grab another Flaffy. Alright, so here I'm setting up for some Shocking Light shenanigans in the coming turns here. So we'll see an N, shuffling those cards back into my deck and drawing double colorless energy. Gonna retreat into this Raichu, saving those 2 energies. Rough Seizing. Healing 20 damage off my Raichu. Shocking Light, dropping 30 damage on that Glaceon. Which he's going to heal off next turn with Rough Seas either way. So, you know, that's not too bad, I guess. At least we're preventing my opponent from healing his Pokemon back to full health. So we see my opponent's turn, they draw a card. Attach another double colorless, yeah. Double colorless to that Glaceon. Now my opponent has the option to attack with Crystal Ray, making it so where I can't attack Circle Circuit next turn. So let's see what my opponent plans to do here. Verse Seeker, grabbing a Hex Maniac. That's actually kind of unfortunate if we get Hex Maniac this turn. A Glalie Spirit going on the Regice. I very much doubt that's going to be used on that Regice, but you never know. Could see like a Ninja Boy into Glalie X, then a Mega Evolve. We do see that Hex Maniac coming down, making it so I can't use my Shocking Light ability next turn. You see what I can only assume was 2 heads. I don't know if my computer froze a little bit, but yeah. My opponent's gonna take 2 prizes off that Raichu. And now it is my turn. So we draw a Rough Seas. So here I'm gonna Ultra Ball, discarding 2 cards. I'm gonna grab Lugia. Bench that Lugia, catch a double colorless, and play Professor Sycamore. We'll drop this Pikachu. Evil Soda, getting that last Ampharos into play. Can't use my ability this turn, but next turn I can drop damage counters on that Glaceon if I need to. And we'll see a Circle Search for 100 damage, not going to that Articuno. Alright, here we see that Glaceon becoming active. So my opponent's in a bit of a predicament here. If he Crystal Rays this turn, he can't knock out Raichu. If he goes for the Regice, he can't knock out my Raichu. If he does Crystal Ray, and I can't attack with Raichu, I can attack with Lugia. So I see my opponent Rough Seizing, going down to only 20 damage left on it, and a Crystal Ray coming out for 70 damage. Again, that's not enough to knock out Raichu. So let's see here. Rough Seas, fleeing my Raichu. We'll see a retreat into this Lugia. This is kind of my favorite thing to do with this deck. You can Shocking Light, hit that bench Glalie. Shocking Light, here comes another 30 damage into play. And since my opponent's Glaceon has 20 damage in it already, I can actually go for a Deep Hurricane this turn. I'll discard my Rough Seas, which is beneficial. My opponent can't heal damage anymore. And I'll take a knockout, doing 150 damage. And taking 2 more prize cards. My opponent brings up that Glalie? Mega Glalie EX. With that Cryo Freeze attack, which does 100 damage, and then it does, I think, 100 more if there's 10 or more damage counters on the defending Pokemon. So here we'll probably see a Cryo Mouth for 100. Because there's no more Rough Seas, and I have enough Ampharoses and energy in play to knock. I think next turn I can take a knockout here. So I'm doing 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 140 damage to that Glalie. But you see a retreat and a pass. But I do have the Reverse Seeker for Lysander. I'm going to bring up that Glalie EX and remove all the energy off my opponent's board here. So I'm just going to do my math really quick. I will need a Shocking Light, I believe, here. Yeah. And my opponent concedes the game. So with that turn, my opponent would have had no more energy in play. It would have taken him quite a while to reset. So we'll go to game 2 in a couple of seconds. So I had already recorded the audio for this, but I did not add my microphone to the input sources. So I talked to myself for a good 15 minutes. So, what I'm doing here is playing the Ampharos Raichu deck. This is a match I played a couple days ago. Don't pay any attention to the Halucha on the left hand side. I was testing my new webcam just to see how it would look. It's pretty good. So here my opponent is choosing the side who goes first. We're going to go up against a Mega Scizor deck. Mega Scizor is pretty hyped. It's supposed to counter, you know, the Mega Mewtwo, maybe the Mega Rayquaza. I really don't know. I haven't tested that matchup at all. So, we have a pretty not okay hand this turn, but our opponent did let us go first for whatever reason. So I can't complain about that. So we see the Scizor. So the only thing I can do is attach an energy and pass. So the interesting thing about this matchup is Mega Scizor can't one-hit KO anything. So things like Lugia that I play or Ampharos can take 2 hits to get knocked out. Obviously Raichu only has 90 HP, you can get knocked out by looking at it. Just by blinking, it knocks out Raichu, right? But we'll see my opponent use Scoundrel Ring here. Probably gonna grab a couple of Scizor, maybe a Shaman EX. Like I was saying, the interesting thing was there'll be turns where my opponent can't take a knockout because I have Ampharos active or I have Lugia active, and it lets me stall for that turn or 2. We do see the double Scizor, and the Shaman can use setup drawing 3 cards. So knowing that, there's ways to play around this deck. I'm not saying that it's gonna go like this every time, but this match went pretty much the way I would like it to go, except for this opening hand. This opening hand is pretty bad. So hopefully our opponent ends us, because I don't have anything. Oh no, we're just gonna see a Steel Wing, which actually does 0 damage because Pikachu is resistant to metal types or steel types, whatever you want to call them. So I'm gonna evolve into Raichu, play the end, and hopefully get some basic Pokemon. Okay, so we got Mareep, Pikachu, 2 Level Ball. We can actually get a Circle Circuit for 80 damage because of the Steel Wing. So we got Pikachu. Let's check to see if we got the Mareep in there. Yep, we got some more Mareeps. So playing all these Level Ball and Ultra Ball is kind of the way I make up for this deck's lack of supporters, which there's some games where you just dead draw really badly because there's not enough supporters, enough draw supporters that aren't Sycamore in the format. There probably is, but none of them that I really enjoy playing. So here we'll see a Circle Circuit doing 80 damage, decreased because of that Steel Wing ability. So here we see a Crushing Hammer, pretty lame. I only play 4 double colors, obviously, and I think I play 3 or 4 Lightning Energy. So playing against this Mega Scizor with the Iron Crusher, discard my energies, discard my stadiums. Playing against Hammers and Flare Grunts, not really fun either. But we'll do our best to stay ahead of this game. So I'm going to play the double puzzle, getting the Ultra Ball, and the Crushing Hammer. Probably going to get another Shaman here, if they play 2 Shamans. Oh, no, Mega Scizor. So we're just going to see the Evolve and Pass. Yep, we're just going to see the Mega Evolution and the Pass, because Mega Evolving ends your turn. So you have a pretty good turn here. I have a Rare Candy into Ampharos, and I have a Supporter. I know it doesn't sound like the best turn, but it's a pretty good turn. Let's see if we can get some more evolutions in play. Hopefully get double colorless. We did not get double colorless. That's not cool. So here is what I was talking about earlier. I can attack, but my opponent can knock me out either if I retreat. So I'm going to retreat right into this Ampharos. Level Ball, let's get another Flaffy into play. And I think I'm going to hold on to the rest of the cards in my hand. I might put down the Footstone. Make sure you can't discard those 2. I wasn't sure. So I'll attach the Footstone. And I'll pass. So this turn, I don't think there's any way where my opponent can knock out Ampharos. Unless he plays like double Giovanni Scheme. Or Muscle Band for somehow. In this new starter format, there's no Muscle Band. Muscle Band, Giovanni Scheme. We see a Parallel City, which is actually pretty not a cool card to play against in this deck. Limiting my bench to 3 Pokemon. The max I can do with Circle Circuit is 60 damage. So hopefully we can draw into one of our stadiums. We play Rough Seas. I'm not really sure why. It seemed like the best stadium to play at the time. I might go back and change that. Might just play 2 Silent Lab. Because everything gets one shot in this deck. Raichu only has 90 HP. Ampharos doesn't really take a hit. The only deck where playing the Rough Seas really was beneficial was against what's the name of that card? Glaceon EX, because it only did 70 damage and I could retreat for free in Rough Seas and stall with Ampharos and takes like 3 hits to knock it out. Anyways, so here we saw Sycamore drawing Shaman, then the Sycamore drawing 7 cards. We'll see a Float Stone going onto the Scizor and attacking with the fresh Mega Scizor here. Here we'll see an Iron Crusher. I very much doubt they're going to discard their own stadium. Maybe they'll be nice guys and do that for me. But no. We're just going to see the Iron Crusher here doing 100 damage because of resistance instead of the 420 or 120, the full 120. Oh, we do draw the Rough Seas. Cool. So I can bump that stadium. I have the option to Ultra Ball, but I would really only grab Ampharos or maybe Lugia, but I don't think attacking the Lugia against this deck that discards my special energies is going to be very helpful. So I'm just going to drop the Pikachu and play the N. Shuffle my hand into my deck and draw 6 new cards. I do have an energy, so I can attack this turn with the Raichu. Here we'll see an Evo Soda evolving to the second Ampharos. This turn I'll have the option to drop 6 damage counters with my ability, Shocking Light. So I'll retreat, attach double colorless, use Shocking Light on the active Mega Scizor EX, and we'll use a second Shocking Light on the active Mega Scizor EX. And then we'll see a Circle Circuit for 80 damage. Next turn, we're not going to have enough to just take knockouts with Shocking Light. But we can knock out our opponent with another Circle Circuit and start dropping damage counters elsewhere. But my opponent is going to take a prize this turn. It looks like he's going to bring up that damage Ampharos. And he gets the heads on that flip, which is pretty not cool. We see a puzzle. I think that's probably the 3rd puzzle he's played. Those are things you should probably keep track of. How many puzzles, how many Lysanders, especially best out of 3. And we see another Iron Crusher here. Gonna take a knockout. Gonna take a prize. Not too bad. I do lose my free retreat on Ampharos, but Raichu has free retreat anyways. So hopefully we can draw an energy this turn. Yes, good. And here I have the option. I could play the Giovanni scheme, take the knockout on the active, but after that he brings up his Scizor and I have nothing in my hand. So here I went another route and I brought up that Hoopa, and I'm saying that maybe with only 3 cards in his hand he does not have another Float Stone, and I Circle Circuit this active Hoopa for 60 damage. Like I said, I could have played the Giovanni scheme to do 80 to the active Mega Scizor and taken that knockout, but Raichu would have gotten knocked out in return, and I would have had nothing to retaliate with after that. So it's this way, I force my opponent to... not again. Another Crushing Hit over his head. I force my opponent to have a Float Stone because there's no more AZ in the format. So we see a Field Seeker for Lysander. Not going to be able to play that because he played Birch this turn. And a pass. And what a top deck. I've had 3 great top decks those last 2 turns. That is less great. So I have 2 Raichus to evolve to. Again, my opponent needs a Floatstone. If he didn't draw off a Sycamore, he might not draw it this next turn. So I'm going to hit that benched Scizor for Mega Scizor for 30 more damage, bring it up to 200. Leaving it so for next turn I can take a knockout with Circle Circuit. I mean, with Shining, Sparkling Light, Shocking Light, Shocking Light. I know you can't knock out my Ampharos, so the only way that I'm not taking that knockout is with the Hex Maniac. But if he Hex Maniacs me, I can still attack with Raichu next turn, assuming that he doesn't retreat. So here I have 2 Pokemon, 2 of my opponent's Pokemon on the verge of being knocked out. A Circle Circuit will finish this Hoopa. Shocking Light will finish that Mega Scizor. And we just see an attachment onto the Hoopa. So this probably means my opponent can't retreat this turn. Here I get hit with Delinquent, discarding my Stadium, and I have to discard 3 cards from my hand. I consider keeping the energy just because my opponent plays so many hammers. But I don't think that 1 lightning's gonna matter in the long run. I do play Super Rod, I do play Special Charge. I could get those back eventually. So here, even though my opponent delinquented me down to 1 card, I'm gonna fill my hand back up, taking 1 knockout here with my Shocking Light ability. I will attach the Lightning just because I'm running low on double colorless. Right here's why I kind of want to play Raichu Break, but that's whatever. So if I did play Raichu Break, I could get him to play this turn, and I would see I have no more double colorless left. But I do play the Special Charge. So Raichu Break, what it does is Grand Bolt for 170, but you discard all energy attached to it. But 170 plus the 30 from Shocking Light, you can take knockouts on EXs. Or 2 Shocking Lights, you can hit 230. You can knock out Megas really easily. I say really easy, but kind of easily. But I don't. It's an option that I might consider in the future. So we see him promote the new Mega Scizor EX with 0 damage. I don't think I'll ever be able to knock out this Pokemon. Seeing how this is also my last double colorless energy, and I'm getting knocked out this turn, I don't know if I'll be able to attack with another Raichu. Even if I could attack with Raichu, I'd only be doing 60 damage. If I can drop this Mareep. I see another Iron Crusher knocking out my Raichu. The cool thing is that all of my Pokemon have Fairy Tree right now. So there's that. So I think my option for winning here is knocking out one of those Shaman EXs on the bench. I don't think I'll do enough damage to knock out the damaged Mega Scizor. So over here I switch my target. I know my opponent can knock out Ampharos, so he shouldn't be able to take a prize unless he has Lysander. So I do a Shocking Light, hitting the bench Shaman for 30 damage. And I think I'm just, well, I'll play a supporter here. I'll play a Sycamore, trying to hit that Special Charge to get back energy into my deck. And I do get Special Charge, good. So shuffle 2 of my 4 DC back into my deck. I'll drop another Mareep. Here I have the option to Ultra Ball and probably grab another Flaffy, since all my Ampharos are prized. I'm not sure how that's really going to help, but you never know. Lugia, again, we'll just get his energy discarded and won't be able to attack with it more than twice. And even then I'd be knocked out after that. So here I'm just going to grab the Flaffy. It's not going to do a whole bunch yet. I actually don't know if I did my ability this turn. I don't remember. I might have missed it. I'll have to go back and check that. No, I did. Because it was the 2 knockouts on the EXs. Yeah. I'll double check. And we see another Lysander, bringing up the Raichu with the energy. So unless I draw double colorless, well, I can teammates for it, but I will not be able to take this knockout on this Scizor. So again, the target has to be those Shamans. That's probably my only way out of this now. Here we see another Iron Crusher, taking a knockout. My opponent will go down to 3 prizes. I'll promote my Ampharos with free retreat. And because AZ is not in the format anymore, my opponent can't just pick up the Shamans as he would have a couple of weeks ago. And to Sky Return would take 2 turns of attachment on that Shaman that I'm already targeting. So I think we're pretty safe just going after it with the Shocking Light. Hoping my opponent can't knock out my Pokemon, my Ampharos. I probably should have held the Flaffy here in case he knocked out the Flaffy. Because there is an option to take the knockout with Ram, actually. If I can Shocking Light the Shaman for 30, and then Lysander it up with Flaffy and attack with Ram, that'd be awesome. But my opponent Lysanders up my other Raichu, my last real attacker. So I'm left with my Mareep, Flaffy, and Ampharos. But I do have the game here. I will first Seeker for Lysander. And bring up that Shaman EX that's already damaged. Going to retreat. Shocking Light, bringing that Shaman up to 90 damage. And then we will hit it with a Ram for 40. Taking my last 2 prizes here. In an unexpected way, actually. I didn't think that's how it would end, but you gotta find all your outs when you're playing this deck. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.